Hi guys, so I'm just going to show you how I'm planting up my tomato plants. I've just got the greenhouse all cleared out and the plants are big enough to plant up into the bigger pots now. So then that'll be the pots that they live in for the duration of their life. But yes, so just going to show you on the floor here what's going on and I'll explain my system. So as you can see, I've got them sat on a tray of grit. Tomato plant and the pot. See, now the pot has got a hole in the bottom, so you can see the hole. There's a reason for this. So the tomato plant's got two sets of roots. It's got a water finding root system and a nutrient finding root system. The hole in the bottom of the pot guides the water finding root system down into the grit. The plant sat in the compost, then has the compost is there just for the nutrient finding root system. So the fine hair roots that are all growing from the top level feed from the compost, and the root system that goes down through the taproot, if you like, and to find the moisture goes straight down into the grit. It just keeps them separate and allows one to concentrate on one bit and one concentrate on the other bit. So that's how it works in theory. So what I do is I water the grit so the water finding root system can go down and find the water, leaving the compost on top for the nutrient finding root system to take their fill of that. And this will support the plant much better than having the water finding root system draining the water from the compost and drying it out much quicker, holding up the nutrients for the nutrient finding root system. So, with that in mind, I'm going to show you how to plant them now. So I'm using a tomato grow bag, well not a grow bag, but tomato compost, to plant the tomatoes in, because there's a lot of technology goes into these grow bags and they're got a lot of very good nutrients in there for the tomatoes to thrive, to feed them right up until the point that they will flower and fruit. And then after that point, then I will take over and start feeding them. But they're very good composts for tomatoes and for peppers. Perfect. As much as I like to say, you know, make your own compost if you can, use what nature provides. There's a lot of technology that goes into these grow bags and you'll be silly not to take advantage of them because they're actually quite cheap for what you're getting. So I'm just filling it up on top of the grit there that's sat there quite happily. The compost won't fall through or go into the grit. It's quite firmed in. I've really stomped on the grit to keep it firm. It will hold the moisture nicely but still allow the roots to go down and into the grit to get the moisture. Right, so you can see that I planted it right up to the top rim, below the top rim, so they're just about a couple of inches from the top. So it's good compost, and I'm just going to plant the tomato in the middle. Like so. Firm it in, then I'll give it a good water to start with, and I'll stake behind it as well, so it's supported from the very second it starts growing. It's got support. I won't tie it on yet until it gets a bit bigger. I'll just push that down. There we go. So there's a bit of space between the plant and the stake, so it's not going to damage it or anything, not damaging the root system. And then as it grows up, gets to about there, when it starts to look like it needs a bit more support, then I'll just lightly tie it to the plant, just with some garden twine, or you can get the plastic ties, whichever you need. I don't like using twine because it's like biodegradable. So yes, then it'll support it through. Let me get a watering can and I'll give it a watering. Here we go. Now it won't be very much longer before the root system really kicks in on these, because it'll be lovely and warm in here, and all the nutrients that's in the compost will start feeding the plant and they'll give them a really good boost. So after a week or so, I will, when it starts to get a bit bigger, about the same time as I try and support it, I'll start watering the grit as well below, and that will give the water roots something to look for. And the excess water from this I'm watering now will also go into the grit. So that is the first plant of 4 that I'm planting up today. I have got some growing outside as well, but these always do better in the greenhouse. They like the full sun, the shelter, and they always get a bit more nutrients, I think, from the compost rather than the outside compost. So that's the grit system that I do. As I say, this is probably the 3rd or 4th time I've tried it now, and I think it's a good system, so I'm trying it again. Last year I did just a standard grow bag system. Sit the bag on the floor and you plant 2 plants per bag, exactly what it says on the bag to do. So I did that last year. That works really well, it does, but they tend to want more watering. It's fine, but it's a simple system. Just put the grow bag on the floor or on a tray, cut 2 holes, plant in each hole, so you usually get 2 or 3 plants per bag. I usually plant 2. They have about 6 to 8 weeks worth of food in the compost, and then once they start to flower, you need to start feeding them at that point, which is the same with this compost. At the point they start to flower, I'm going to need to start feeding these as well. There's the 2 systems that you can kind of do with tomatoes, and you can grow them out in the garden, as I say, because I have got a few. I think I've got 4 or 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've got 9 plants outside in the garden, various different sorts, and they're all in full sun. I think I've got 2 that are a little bit less sheltered than the others, but they should be okay. They're quite strong plants. The ones that, you can see Jill coming in, the ones that I've got sown that aren't sprouting yet, aren't ready, they are very hardy. They are good plants. They're my, I think they're orange. I think they're yellow crown. So I've got those growing, but they'll be going outside as well because they're quite strong. I'm now going to plant up the rest of these tomatoes. I'll tell you quickly which ones I've got. And hopefully that helps you choose which system to use for your tomatoes. Both very simple. All you need for this is washed grit, which you can buy in most garden centres or B&Q. A tray, a pot, a large-ish flower pot with a hole cut in the bottom. So as I say, I just go around the bottom with a knife or scissors, cut a hole in the bottom for the water roots to go through, and that's it. Fill the pot up with tomato compost or multi-purpose compost if you want. You just have to feed them a bit more. Vegetable compost is fine. I like using tomato compost because it's designed for tomato and the tomato family, so there's a lot more goodness in there, specifically designed for those plants. So, and they're not too expensive either. So the next one, the first one I did was a beefsteak tomato. It's a brandy wine, so it's a nice stripy tomato. This one I've got growing is it's called Heinz, but it's the Heinz tomato ketchup tomato. The one they use for Heinz tomato ketchup. I grew it last year and it was quite good. So we got the seeds. They were gimmicky seeds. They were literally out of a present, a Heinz present. So you had like all sorts of branded Heinz tomato ketchup products. So they sent the seeds as well, which were really nice. So, and I've grown them again this year. So hopefully they do as well. I'm sure they will. So that's going to be my first pot. I haven't got a label, but that's Gardener's Delight. It's a good old, sturdy, old-fashioned one. I've lost my other tomato. My Diddy one. So this is a smaller tomato, but she's still quite strong. This is a standard. No, it's not a standard one at all. It's a black cherry. So this one is a cherry tomato, but it's dark, dark, dark purple with a really nice dark purple centre. Really strong, nice, deep flavour. So I've got those as well. I've got some of those planted outside as well, so that should be nice. So that's my 4 all together, which I'll be planting in a second. So when you're pulling the tomato plant out the pot, put your hands, really good idea, to support the stem and prevent breaking the plant. Put your hands over the pot so you're supporting each side of the pot and the plant goes up between your fingers. Turn it upside down, give it a squeeze in the pot and you can feel it all fall out. If it doesn't, just give it a quick tap on the bum and it will fall out nicely. So everything's intact, it's all supported, the plant's fine, and then you can just place it in the pot and then firm it down. The watering them in will also it'll close up any air gaps in the compost as well. So it will squeeze all the compost in around the roots, and it will then kick the roots into action, into growing. They'll start spreading out and finding their own way then. And as I say, in a couple of weeks I'll start to water the grit. So when the roots get down to the grit, then they find the water. They know it's there. They sniff it out. And let's get some support in. So that is my tomato plants all ready to go. If you've got any questions about the system or the grow bag system, any of the above, how I feed the tomatoes or anything like that, comment below and then I will help you out. See you later.